uh, PGLA. That's what the money saved. So you just put your address.
Okay.
Do I mute the mic? If it's up to. That's gone from red to light blue, whatever that is. So it looks like Good evening, everyone. Before I hand over to the chair of tonight's meeting, I remind everyone here in the room, we are now live streaming. We politely request that all participants wait until being invited to speak by the chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. Once invited to speak, please preface your contribution by stating your name. This will help the mics lock in on the primary speaker and thereby maximise the sound quality for those watching at home. If you're watching at home and wish to participate in tonight's meeting, please turn your video on. If you're just observing, please turn your video off. Unless actively speaking, all those watching the meeting via Teams should have their mics muted. Members of the public are reminded that public participation is for questions only. Comments, suggestions or representations may be made at the discretion of the chair of the meeting. In case of a fire evacuation, the fire point is the marketplace. For this evening, there will be no fire drills. I'll now hand you over to tonight's chair, Councillor Raby.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Monday, the 7th of July's Finance, Governance and Performance Committee meeting. Can I have any apologies and reasons for absence? Can I just come in on the reasons bit just to explain? It is not going to be a full-blown explanation why you're not here. It is literally the business or personal is the reason why you weren't presenting an apology. So please don't worry about any personal details being given out.
Councillor Hubbard for personal reasons, Councillor Cleary for work reasons, Councillor Griffin for Wiltshire Council work reasons.
Thank you. To vote on accepting apologies. Yes. In favour? Reject. Thank you. Item 2 is any declarations of interest. Okay, thank you very much. Item 3, public participation. So could you just, because of Andrew checks the minutes by listening back to the recording, so if you could come right up to the mic just so it's a bit clearer, because sometimes it could be a bit too muffled when you listen back. Thank you. You can state your name and
Yes, Mortimer, resident of Melksham. So it's really a comment on the fixed assets register and Excel spreadsheet. Is that okay? During my work done over a recent couple of months over client year end, and the majority seem to use Excel for their fixed asset register. I would say 80% of people use Excel. The auditor is correct in flagging up the register as incomplete and needs improvement, but this is more to do with collating the information and entering and recording in a timely manner rather than the software use. Melksham Financial Regs, number 16, Assets, Property and Estates. It said the RFO shall ensure that an appropriate and accurate register and investments is kept up to date with records of properties held by the council, their location, extent, plan, reference and purchase details, nature of interest, tenancy agreement granted, rents payable and the purpose for which held in accordance with the accountant asset regulation. So I just think you need to bear that in mind, that that is what is lacking. Quite a few people use Excel spreadsheets without any problems. It's the information that goes on there. And I just feel a software package is going to want the information on there just as much as the Excel. I just thought I'd just point that out, if that's okay.
did you just there? Is there any comments on that? Thank you.
And the budget format, I appreciate a lot of work has gone into producing Excel budget templates, but having seen the workings on Rialto's software over the last few months, I feel there is enough reports on the software system to choose from that which will serve the need of the council. As an auditor, I do get concerned when figures from software systems are transferred onto spreadsheets. Why? Because there's a chance of transposition errors being made, and also the opportunity, not saying anybody would, but to doctor the figures. If councillors find it difficult to follow the reports from the Rialtos, suggest maybe a presentation to councillors from Rialtos, other users, to help with the understanding of the reports, which are after all pretty similar to spreadsheet Excel, really, if you break them down. The RFO mentions realtors are bringing out some new features in July. I just thought it might be sensible to have a look at these before any decisions made, but obviously that's up to the council. I just thought I'd point those two things out. I asked a question, why is the budget, the total showing a deficit of 165 to be transferred from general reserves, especially as the precept is like 1.1 million and includes 75k top up for general reserves. I note that half of the precept received, 596k, includes half of the top up for general reserves, i.e. 37,500 needs moving from code 1176 to 1195. It seems to me that the expenditure for the EMR needed to be included in the budget figures and then reduce the expenditure paid out of EMR of the 165k, and then that would then bring the balance on the budget back to zero.
Would you say for those new councillors, EMR is earmarked reserves?
Yes.
If I could ask you to, because I know the rest of us knew.
Yeah, sorry, I forget sometimes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Why were the EMR reserves of 901,9202 unplanned maintenance? There's 10,000 there, and major projects reserve 50,000, and sinking funds of 5,000 for £65,000. These have been included in the budget, and so included in the precept charge, whereas normally they would just be transferred from one reserve to another, no actual cost. So I think this is probably using the software not as it was intended. And I would suggest that environment is made for 65,000, perhaps, for where there's under budget expenditure. So you've got a little pot there, really. Environment, for those who don't know, is an administrative transfer of budget funds, which would obviously be a decision for full council.
These questions you've sent in advance to.
Yes, the top two are.
Sam, did you have anything on any of those? Now we'll go back to see.
I'll go back by email.
Brilliant.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Thanks for coming. Item 4 is to approve the minutes of the Finance Administration and Performance Committee meeting held on Monday, the 27th of May. Thank you, Adrian. Do you have a seconder? Somebody was here. Thank you. All in favour? Thank you. Thank you very much. Item 5 is the 2025-2026 financials to date. So this is committee to note financial to date, including the balance sheet, income expenditure, trial balance, and bank reconciliation. Please do.
So I've just got an email from Andrew Griffin. He's made comments on it to say the balance sheet account 213 credit card control of 1344 should not be a debit. We are aware of this and I'm working on that, so I will address that for him.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on it, comments? Okay, in that case, I will take it as being noted. Okay. Item 6 is budget 2025-2026, committee to note the budget to date. Is there anything that's going on, Sam? Everybody noted? All okay? Thank you. Item 7 is budget format. Motion is the committee to note the current format of the presented budget and suggested alternative formats and to decide upon what format they would like the budget presented each meeting moving forward.
Yeah, if I can just give an outline to this. So when we first joined, I've had quite a few members come up to me and say, I want this information, I want that information, and it's all different. So, and the other feedback I'm getting is people want a simple report they can just look at rather than having 6 different reports. There's, for example, some of you want a basic budget, some of you want a forecasted budget, it's all different. Yes, we can run those reports, but you're going to end up with a lot of budgets to look at. So what I'm trying to do is get one budget format that you're all happy with, and then I can present that to each meeting. One of the main issues we've had as well, the feedback from the members, is you want to know the differences from the variances, what they are, rather than just have the variance figures. So I just appreciate the discussion and agreement as to exactly what you would like to see, and then I can produce that for you.
Thank you. Adrian?
Yeah, I do like the budget template too, I have to be honest, which is the simple Excel spreadsheet with some comments by the side of it. Because I do think that not being involved in finance or anything like that, you've got all these figures which are absolutely sort of like jumping off your computer. In actual fact, I like to tend to print out my budget papers because I find it easier to play around with figures once they're printed out. But I did like the fact that there was, you know, spaces for comments there. And one of them is SIL, because the SIL money is in there and it says 660,000, but it never says against it that's committed for a particular project. And I think for new councils in particular, they'll see that there's still money of £660,000. So why aren't we spending it? So, and I know it's in the earmark reserves, but you know, when you actually see it on a budget paper, you know, it's quite nice to have a comment by the side of it, which is, you know, this is reserved for Easter Council. So yeah, I did like that one.
I also like to, certainly I think that kind of template would have been brilliant back when twice I've ended up chairing finance, because it's a instead of having comments down the side really do help. Jim Crossley, because obviously
I don't have strong views either way. I struggle with an awful lot of finance figures put in front of me without some sort of explanation, and I would probably benefit from just sitting down with someone quietly afterwards and just go, give me an information dump. So however it's presented, I'm probably going to struggle with it, but the simpler the better, really.
Yeah. I did like that way of presenting.
Yeah, the thing for me is the more straightforward, the better, please.
and I know we've got, I mean, it's unfortunate John and Andrew aren't here tonight because those two are the two that will be looking for a much more detailed report. I am a little bit cautious of pushing this through tonight when
The chair's not here.
the chair's not here, the vice chair's not here, Andrew's not here, because there are two of us here who aren't members of this committee, and I personally don't think it should be my place to make
No,
a decision on something which doesn't directly affect me.
So can I make the suggestion then, because from what I'm hearing, the majority, you want something simple, and the Excel one, obviously I can give the explanation. I mean, I work for many councils and not everybody has a financial background. I appreciate there is a couple on this committee and the council who do. So I can still give them the reality reports, so they will be very detailed, forecasted down. But I personally find what works and gives you all the information you need, especially for non-financial councillors, is the Excel one. And then on the right-hand side, I write what's in that heading, so you know exactly what that budget, what's goes into it, and also any comments. And usually what I would do is review it every meeting, and I would put like in red or bold, this is going over budget, do we need to be whatever.
Yeah.
And I do find that is the best. So I think moving forward, can we agree that the majority present would like a simple format? So I will produce an Excel one for you, but I will also run the realities reports for those who want them.
I'm really not happy about pushing this through tonight when there are three. In fact, there are four missing from the main finance committee here tonight. And I don't think it's my place to be.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. Sorry, that was my fault. I didn't make myself clear. Just to move forward. So that's what I do for next meeting. Or I might do out of meeting as well. It depends when the next meeting is. And then it's revisited next meeting.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I just don't want to change anything without those members being present in the room.
So we'll have the alters plus the Excel spreadsheet. I'm happy with that because those who want it in, you know, they're not minute detail.
Yeah.
But that's those explanations I find incredibly helpful.
Okay, well, let's go with that then.
Thank you.
So do we need to take, well, I'll propose that and check anybody. All in favour? Thank you. Sorry. Thank you very much. Item 8 is to note, but I know what RFO wants to give us an update as well.
I can just give you an update on it. The first thing is Lloyds Bank, council agreed to close the Lloyds Bank. Mel's been working very hard on trying to close it. The reason it's not been closed down is because we still have direct debits attached to it, and there were some other payments, wasn't there? So Mel's working through those and it's taking time. So it is going to be another 2 to 3 months, you'd say.
I'll say 3 months. I'll get it in soon then.
We will try and get it through as quick as we can, and then we will close it because we're going to transfer 100k over, aren't we?
I've got 100k now. Yeah.
Yeah, I write a check into the Unity savings account, and then we'll carry on chasing.
That will leave about 73 grand in there. So at the moment we've got it's taken out about 5 grand a month with the Dojo cards, the bar and ticket cards. We've got to get those ones swapped over to Unity. There's a problem with the login with Dojo at the moment. And there's a couple of direct debits and people renters assembly hall. So we'll chase that one up, but I just want to keep a little bit in there. There's also a thing with Lloyds that if it's over 10 grand, you can't automatically close an account down. So there's a blocker there as well, but it is in hand.
And that's to do with security and possible fraud.
Probably, yeah. The reason,
Sorry, can I just say, am I right here now? Lloyd's bank account is only for the assembly hall, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's just new councillors here who might not have known that.
Yeah.
We use Lloyd's only for assembly.
Yeah.
So we are working on it. The next thing is still, you'll see I've given you a big report, so I'm not going to go through that. But just to give you an update on it, is the clerk has now had an extensive meeting also with Melksham Parish Council. So we're moving it forward, and the SIL working group meeting has now been arranged. So that will be, it's about a couple of weeks, isn't it, that one?
23rd.
When is it?
23rd, I think it is. Yeah. Personally, I think in order to be able to allocate SIL spend, you need a 3-year plan or equivalent. So I've spoken to the clerk and she's on that as well. So hopefully that won't be too long. And also my next job, I've just got to get payroll out of the way of some issues. And then my next job is to actually look at the budget and to review the budget. So what I will do also is if there's any projects in there we've budgeted for, we may have SIL money for as well. So I will look at all of that and I'll bring it back and give you a report on all of that.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
It's just lovely to hear about SIL.
Yes.
How we can use it.
Sorry, can I give one more update? Sorry, there was concern that the SIL has expired. So technically it has to be spent in 5 years. Now, luckily, Wiltshire Council have not been very good at chasing it, but now they are.
They are.
Now they've been
very quick at it.
Yeah, get it in, yeah. But the good news is I've spoken to the SIL department at Wiltshire Council and she says there's no rush because they've got to get their processes in place as well. So even though it has expired, quite a bit of it actually, we're not going to lose it. And she said she's not even put a date on it. I said, even if I come back to you in 3 months, she said that's absolutely fine. So that's a relief. So once the SIL working group has met and we've reviewed the budget and we've decided what we're going to do with Melksham without, because I believe there was 300,000 or something for the community centre, that's holding it up. So hopefully by the end of July, we will be in a much better position to be able to move forward and give you a better update. But we're not going to lose any money.
Yeah, we had contact today from Teresa in terms of arranging that meeting about.
Yeah, I've got it in my diary. I will say that I did meet with the leader of Wiltshire Council and we did discuss SIL. And I do know that Wiltshire Council are really looking to claw back SIL because of the financial position that they found themselves in. So, you know, we are going to have to move quite quickly on this SIL money. I appreciate 3 months, but that's quite quick for Melbourne.
Well, as I say, Teresa's invited myself, Chair of Melksham, about the 2 Wiltshire councils for the area as well. So Nick and Charlie to a meeting to discuss the Eastern Melksham.
Right.
So
yeah,
I think that's going to be only in a week or 2.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm really pleased to hear that.
Yeah.
Really pleased.
You're making some progress.
Yeah, I know we're making progress. I know we're making good progress, but it's actually nice to hear it at a meeting of the progress that we're making and, you know, the comments and things. It's good. It's good.
Can I just double check because I'm still relatively inexperienced? Is there any restrictions on what we can spend the SIL money on?
Yeah.
And are there plans in the pipeline of projects, sounds like it's this one that we would like to spend money on.
Yeah, quite a bit of it is earmarked. So it's community infrastructure levy, so it's for community
Things, so like
centre.
festival events or
Play parks and all those sorts of things would come under it. Yeah.
Bike pump track is one of the ones that we have earmarked money from myself for. It's those kind of physical projects, I think is the way to put it,
It's
tangible.
infrastructure.
Yeah,
Only
infrastructure.
infrastructure.
Any other questions, Sam? In that case, then I will move on to item 9, which is the payment approval process. So apparently this was asked also committees to note the payment approval process and issues with the process. Again, coming to this a little bit cold. Any questions, comments, observations? Obviously, I've read through it. See, Reese has done, is I think another signatory. We're trying to get some other signatory.
Yeah.
That's going up tomorrow now.
But yes, Adrian.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I've asked for this is, and it's because I am the only signatory. I am the only council signatory. I'm really assured now that we are, we are insured that it's when it's down to you all the time. And at the end of the day, there's nothing to say that that something doesn't happen to me. You don't have another councillor to sign things off. There's been some issues with councillor Eves because she got logged out, and we have tried to get her logged back in again. I think she needs to come down to the office and get it sorted. I've tried it. Jenny Westbrook's tried it as well, and they're pretty IT literate, and we could not do it. I think if you're on finance, I think you're really looking forward for actually being a signatory, because the more signatories there are, the safer that it is actually is, because Pat and I tend to sign off the invoices as well, and then I've got to sign them off on the bank account as well, and I just don't like that process of it being the same person.
It is coming, so it's actually coming physically into here to sign.
Yeah, usually what the process is the RFO or the finance officer would go onto Unity and set the payments up. 2 councillors would come in and look at the invoices and sign the invoices off. And then 2 councillors would go online and release the bank payments. Your standing orders actually say the clerk can be one of those signatories. My personal view is I prefer 2 councillors to do it. But I would have as a bare minimum the whole of the finance committee as bank signatories. So can we add that to the full council meeting? It's tomorrow, isn't it? Could we add that as a motion?
Mhm.
Yeah, so because council can approve that.
Just also wondering, just signing off and checking the invoices. I'm just wondering, Matt, I'm in at least once a week, at least. So I mean, I don't mind putting my name down for doing physical signatories here.
If I add you to the email, what I would like to request is up to, how many councillors we got? 15. I'd like 8 to 10 actually in the pot, so it's not for signing off and then possibly for the online, because that gives you a bigger pool. Because I'm very conscious that everything has come since last coming on a year. It's both down to you two.
Well, it's not even down to Pat anymore because she can't log on.
Not the log on thing, but just attendance.
Oh yes, yeah.
If we could, not just the finance, because we won't make it up to 8 or 9 or 10, but if you've got full council, if we could have somebody.
Yeah, let's get on with it and jump to item.
It's really useful coming and signing off those invoices, because it gives you a real insight into the workings of the town council. It's a really important thing to do, to see exactly who our contractors are, how much we're paying them, and
Again, I have a question. Given how new and inexperienced I am, and also on the finance committee, I would be reluctant to become signatory too soon, simply because I'm still learning. And is there like a minimum?
Well, yeah, but bear in mind, if you're signing off the stuff online, that is because somebody's already come in here and has physically checked the invoices against the payments.
Okay.
So actually, there's a safety net that has to go through that process. We have to go through the RFO, financial officer, people coming and checking before it even gets to the person who then authorises the payment online.
Okay. Yeah.
And actually signing off the invoices in the office is actually not that difficult. It's just that it's only Pat and myself who are doing it at the moment. It takes about half an hour.
No, that's funny, just literally, because of the amount of time I've been on council, I just wasn't sure if there's like a minimum
No, but
time enrolled before.
it's just like coming in and actually doing that process is also a really
Good point.
good thing. Pat?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It gives you a really good insight. And I mean, you don't have to be a whiz at maths. You can soon pick something up that is wrong. Because I've surprised myself a couple of times once I actually added it up and thought, am I right or are they wrong? Anyway, so, you know, it's the beginning of the process. And I'd rather do that than anything on the computer later, because that to me is more real. It makes more sense to me, but then I'm old. So, you know, so you're sort of having that kind of mindset. But that is the bit I enjoy doing. Whereas with the computer bit, just ticking it off as having been checked by everyone else makes me feel rather uneasy. So, I mean, it just suits me to do that. But I don't know how you
Just
feel.
just double checking the security process on it.
Well, let's get it on the agenda then for full council. Thank you. And we will,
And is that just a nomination that we have to do?
we'll browbeat people into doing it.
Yeah. I mean, I know that when you get to the Unity bit, there's masses of paperwork, but there wouldn't be masses of paperwork for the other one, would there?
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 10 is finance and governance outstanding resolutions. So this committee to note the update on the finance and governance related resolutions on here. So have you had a chance to? Obviously, it's very, thank you, really great report on this in terms of what's outstanding, what's been completed, what's in progress.
I don't think I've got enough. I think the only update is all the audit documents they're now on the website. Some more governance documents have gone up, still some more to do. And then the signatories we've just spoken about. So yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, thank you, and I appreciate it's been quite a steep hill to be climbing at the moment, but I do feel like we are kind of making some headway on that. So thank you very much. Item 11 is committee to approve the preferred suppliers list.
Speak to it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, it's good practice because obviously there's regular suppliers. The one things councils have trouble with is you need to get 3 quotes for most things. But a lot of the time you're going to the same people for quotes all the time. So you will find that the suppliers will say, we're not bothering quoting, we never win. And I think you found that, haven't you, Mel, as well? And then sometimes in the past, the invoices have not been paid. So some suppliers won't deal with this anyway. So it's good practice to have the preferred suppliers list. If you're going to somewhere, but say tea, coffee, for example, it's the same people all the time. Then it's approved, you go to that preferred supplier. However, that preferred supplier list should be approved by council annually, and I don't think that's been done. And secondly, it should be reviewed to ensure we're getting the best value. Excuse me. And apparently it's not been done for many years on most of them. So one of the things I will do quite quickly is there are a couple of companies out there who will actually review all your utilities. It's all free of charge, and they specialise in local council, so they know what they're doing. So they will go out to the market and they'll give you a complete report of where you can get cheaper gas, electric, water, whatever it may be. So that's one thing we can do. That's no cost to us, no work to us, so there's no harm doing that. And then the other ones, we're trying to find out if we are tied to contracts with them. So the officers are doing work on that. And then the other ones that we've not reviewed for many years, we need to go out to quote or tender to make sure that we're still getting best value. So it is a huge project. This is by no way near complete, but what I'm asking you to do is to approve it as it is now with those comments I've just made, and be assured that we're working on it, and we will keep bringing it back to the meeting for approval.
Okay.
Thank you, because when I went through it, I wasn't sure of the relationship between the list that you put on there and then needing 3 quotes and also of contract finder. So I was trying, what you just said has explained it all to me, and I do know that we do have difficulty getting 3 quotes, and if that helps and it's being constantly reviewed, I've never reviewed anything like this in the entire time I've been a councillor.
Okay.
So I'm very grateful for that being done. Thank you very much. And I understand it, and I'm happy with it.
So,
Just check some of these, you're checking on like the business rates for utilities, so gas, electric, water and stuff, but does that include other things like broadband and the phone contracts?
Not really, no, that is what the officers need to do. This is why it's going to be such a big job, because the first thing we need to do is find all the contracts and find out if we're contracted, because if we've still got another year, there's no point. And then we need to go out and get 3 quotes. So it is going to take time, but this is just a starting point.
anybody else? Are we happy to approve this then?
Yeah, happy to propose it.
Any second it? All in favour? We'll pick and begin, right, thank you very much. And then also item 12 to note is the Good Councillor's Guide to Finance.
Sorry for being the only person talking tonight. I actually read this twice. I'm actually quite impressed with myself, and I found it incredibly helpful. Actually, very simple to understand, and it really helped me. And a couple of things I would like to point out. One of the things it says is that, you know, to really try to look towards doing a 3-year finance plan, and I actually think that it's something that would be really useful for this council to do, so we can get these projects which we've got sitting around actually then in the budget for the next 3 years and being able to actually deliver them. So I like that thing. I liked how easy it was. They were very good actually. Jenny, it's really worth the reading. It talks about civil and secular 6 money. It talks about the differences between them. But I also like the bit that some people understand why I'm saying this. On the general act of competence, it was what was really good about that was because I know that you have to have 2/3 of the for your councillors elected, and I wasn't quite sure exactly where we will be standing on that. It's incredibly clear that if you have put your name forward and you have been elected unopposed, you are elected. So we have got 2/3 of our council elected, and I think that's something which we need to keep remembering, because it's, you know, at the end of the day, we've had comments made about the fact that we're not elected. We were elected. Wiltshire Council sent us all forms to say we weren't elected. This council can have the general act of competence because we've got 2/3 elected. It's a really good, easy read. And I'm really, just took those 3 points as being something that really jumped out to me and being quite pertinent to this council at the moment.
I actually think it would be worthwhile being circulated to all councillors, not just those on finance, because when it comes to things like budgets and stuff like that, or things like grants, ComDev, you know, there's a lot. Actually, it's really good information. Pat?
It's a bit irrelevant, but when I first joined the council, before we sort of went digital, we had little booklets and things like that you could just refer to. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah, I recently retrieved with my own.
Yeah, exactly. So we wouldn't want to do it now, but it is the sort of thing you can just, you know.
It's a good read.
Yeah.
I was going to say, in fairness, if a printed out copy could be provided to us, so that would be helpful.
Do they do printed copies, or do you have to have it
PDFs now.
digitally?
It's all PDFs, isn't it?
I know, but even with things that are PDFs, often these companies, you know, the government or whatever it is, actually do produce a little booklet. And a little booklet for every councillor. Would it be worth looking at the possibility of it, Andrew, and seeing how much it would cost? If it's astronomical, then obviously we're not going to go down that route. But, you know, I personally like it on the computer. I have to be honest, I've saved it into the folder I needed to save it into, and that's fine. But, you know, not everybody likes the computer. So, but it is a good read. Bedtime reading. Yeah, but those 3 things jumped out at me as being really pertinent to this council.
Yeah, definitely. Anything else? Okay, so that's this meeting closed.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Miss Sophie.
It wasn't what I was expecting to be tonight.